The World Health Organization has warned that the coronavirus may never go away and populations will have to learn to live with it, just as they have HIV, as the global death toll from the disease nears 300,000. The WHO emergencies chief said it was impossible to predict when the pandemic might be controlled. Without a vaccine, he said it could take years for the population to build up sufficient levels of immunity to it. The UAE Ministry of Health and Prevention announced on Thursday 698 new COVID-19 infections and 407 recoveries, in addition to 2 deaths. As for Oman's Ministry of Health, it announced 322 new infections, bringing the total number of confirmed cases in the Sultanate to 4,341. In Kuwait, the Ministry of Health announced 947 new coronavirus infections in the last 24 hours, bringing the total to 11,975. Israeli police have arrested over 300 ultra-Orthodox Jews for violating the health ministry measures banning large gatherings during the spread of the COVID-19 disease. Hundreds of ultra-Orthodox Jews broke into compound at Mount Meron for Lag BaOmer, defying police orders limiting entry to the site due to the coronavirus fears and prompting clashes with security forces. The health ministry announced there was decline in coronavirus cases, but warned that if people did not comply with the measures, the virus will re-emerge in greater numbers of infections. According to a Palestinian statistics agency, the Palestinian population has grown ninefold since Nakba, which refers to the expulsion of hundreds of thousands of Palestinians by Zionist gangs from their homes in historical Palestine in 1948 to make way for the new state of Israel. Despite the displacement of more than 800,000 Palestinians in 1948 and the displacement of more than 200,000 Palestinians, the majority of them to Jordan, after the 1967 war, the Palestinian world population totaled 13.4 million by the end of 2019, which means that the number of Palestinians in the world has doubled more than 9 times since the events of the Nakba of 1948, and more than half of them live in historical Palestine by the end of 2019, where their number reached 6.64 million, which is 1.6 million in the territories occupied in 1948. Virtual reality tours have replaced flag-waving rallies as Palestinians facing coronavirus restrictions create digital spaces to lament the loss of their physical homeland in 1948. Cell phone apps and Zoom videos chats are among the other online tools Palestinians are using to mark the Nakba or the catastrophe when they or their descendants were forced from their villages or fled in the war that surrounds Israel's creation. The Nakba is generally marked on May 15th, the day after Israel's Independence Day in the Western calendar. Chidli Klebi, who had been among the most prominent political and cultural figures of modern Tunisian history and the only non-Egyptian Secretary General of the Arab League, passed away. He dealt with many pressing and controversial issues during his time as Secretary General, eventually handing in his resignation on the eve of the outbreak of the Second Gulf War, citing his objection to foreign interference. Klebi was the Arab League's 4th Secretary General, succeeding Abdul Rahman Azzam, Abdel Khaliq Hassouna, and Mahmoud Riyad. U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo made a swift visit to Israel, during which he held talks with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and his partner in the soon-to-be unity government, Benny Gantz. During his visit, Pompeo held separate meetings with Netanyahu and Gantz, leader of the centrist party of Blue and White. In a joint press conference with Netanyahu, Pompeo said that Israel's unity government presents an opportunity for peace, adding that Israel has the right to defend itself, and the United States supports this right. Iraq's security media cell reported that military and security forces kicked off security operation to track down IS elements in areas under Kirkuk, 250 kilometers north of Baghdad. In its report, it said the new operations come in lines with efforts to boost security and stability in the area. Meanwhile, a United Nations committee conducting investigations into IS crimes in Iraq has reported making significant progress in finding new evidence. The US, Russia, and Israel are pushing to block a strategic road corridor between Tehran and Beirut, passing through Baghdad and Damascus, and which is used by Iran to transport ammunition and arms to its allies. During the meeting, participants agreed that Maghawir al-Thawra and al-Nukhba forces would advance at the beginning under the pretext of fighting IS. The observatory said the issue of launching military operations depends mainly on the results of Russia's attempts to persuade Iran to pull out its forces and loyal militias from the desert and replace them with Russian-backed forces. Hamas and Jihad refused to attend the Palestinian leadership talks scheduled for Saturday to discuss an action plan against possible Israeli decisions to annex parts of the West Bank. Hamas said that it had not received an official invitation to attend the meeting, stressing its readiness to participate in any serious talks that could bring about the required change in the Palestinian situation. The movement called on Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas to invite the Secretaries General of the Palestinian factions and forces to an urgent meeting based on an adequate mechanism in order to work on an effective national strategy to face the annexation plan. The Egyptian Defense Minister has attended the inauguration ceremony of the country's third Gowind-class corvette frigate in Alexandria, which was built locally in cooperation with France's defense contractor, the Naval Group. Defense Minister Mahmoud Zaki checked up on the new frigate in preparation for putting it into service at the Egyptian Navy. The submarine has a length of 62 meters and a diameter of 6.2 meters and is operated by 30 crew members. The United States publicly threatened to trigger a return of all United Nations sanctions on Iran if the UN Security Council does not extend an arms embargo on Tehran that is due to expire in October under the Iran nuclear deal. U.S. Special Envoy for Iran, Brian Hook, confirmed the strategy 2 weeks after a U.S. official, speaking on condition of anonymity, said that the United States had told Britain, France, and Germany of its plan. A resolution needs 9 yes votes and no vetoes by Russia, China, the United States, France, or Britain to be adopted by the 15-member Security Council. Russia has already signaled it's opposed to extending the arms embargo. U.S. President Donald Trump said that he will look into the legislation introduced in the Senate a day earlier that proposes sanctions on China if it fails to cooperate and provide a full accounting of the events leading up to the novel coronavirus outbreak. The coronavirus, which first emerged in China's Wuhan city last year, has claimed nearly 3 million lives and infected over 4.3 million people across the world so far. The U.S. alone has recorded close to 85,000 COVID-19 deaths.